Planning a cruise? I'm going to give you a breakdown of all the big budget considerations. The good news, you can take care of all this before your cruise even starts. Hey everyone, welcome to Rasberry Getaways. So I figured a good video to go ahead and do would be about cruising for the new cruisers or people that are maybe considering going on a cruise. It can be very confusing on what in the heck am I actually paying for. So I figured this would be a good opportunity to kind of break down not just the basic fare of a cruise, but all the other things you need to consider when you're trying to budget for a cruise. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So first item when you're booking a cruise that will be in your invoice that kind of breaks down some of this will be your basic cruise rate. Depending on the cruise line, you may have different terminology, but it's either cruise rate, base tariff, guest rate. It's going to be something like that, and that's just going to be your basic fare. A lot of times when you're seeing online on the internet or even other areas, you'll see that price as what they're selling to the public, and that is just the base fare, the basic cruise rate. Some things to consider also, if you're a single occupancy versus double occupancy is going to vary a little bit. Single occupancy is usually a little bit more expensive, so understand that. If you have guests 1 and 2, they're going to be about the same usually rate. Guests 3 and 4 usually will be a little bit cheaper, and it's going to vary a little bit depending on the sale, the types of deals they're going to come out with each cruise line, and it's going to be really specific on each cruise line of what that is. But that is what you're normally seeing when you're seeing prices thrown around. It's just giving you the basic fare. In your basic fare is going to be different things considering what is included, I should say. So that's your actual transportation, your actual lodging, certain food accommodations, and then entertainment and things like that. But another consideration when you're looking at the price is there always going to be a taxes, fees, and port expenses. This varies a little bit. What those basically are, those are fees imposed by governmental, or I should say quasi-governmental agencies. It could be things such as U.S. Customs fees, stockage fees, it could be inspection fees. There's all kinds of different fees that are going to be associated with that piece of your invoicing, of your price breakdown, I should say. It's going to vary a little bit depending on where you're going, what country, all those things. But you also, in your fare, you're going to see taxes, fees, and port expenses. So that's something else to consider. Now, those two areas are really going to be the basic booking of your cruise. But there's some other expenses that you need to consider when trying to figure out your budget for your cruise. So, travel protection, otherwise called travel insurance. This is something you're going to look at. It's an optional expense. My personal opinion, it's highly recommended. You don't want to be on a 5-day, 7-day, 14-day cruise and an issue pops up and you're in some small island country. You want to have that insurance to cover you for whatever issues that come up. It's a good peace of mind to have. So I highly recommend travel insurance. Again, it's optional, but I highly, highly recommend it. So another expense that you're going to consider when you're doing your budget is prepaid gratuities, or just gratuities. You have a couple options. One, you could just go ahead and prepay all your gratuities. This is something I usually do. Depending on the cruise and everything else, you may wind up seeing that the charge is a little bit lesser than if you would pay your gratuities after the fact. And when I say after the fact, usually if you don't do prepaid gratuities, then you would be charged after the cruise is over with on whatever credit card that you're going to have on file. So this is another area to consider. Depending on the cruise line, it's going to vary in price. So you're going to have to take a look at that, but always factor in that as well. Another one that you're going to have to consider is Wi-Fi. You know, in today's world, a lot of people want to be connected at all times with social media and email and text and all those things. So you may consider you want to do the Wi-Fi package. All the cruise lines offer it. They're going to have different levels of Wi-Fi, you know, premium, basic, all those types of packages. It's really going to be on your preference. I'll tell you, depending on the cruise line, will depend on how good the quality is of your Wi-Fi. Just for my business and what I do, I need it, so I always get the Wi-Fi package. But depending on where I'm going and how long I'm going to be, I may just get the basic package, or I may get the premium package if I know I'm going to be doing a lot of social media posts and videos and all those kinds of things. So just something else to consider. Don't necessarily need it. Some people like to disconnect and get away from the world. So it's just something that you need to consider and budget. Again, depending on the cruise line, it's going to be different in cost. So just take a look at that if you know what cruise line you're looking at. Another one is you may have seen some of our previous videos, and I talk about the drink package. That's just something else. If you like to drink, you know, that's an extra cost. It's not included in the base fare. So something to look at. Every cruise line offers some type of a drink package. There's different various. You know, they may have a premium or a regular drink package. They all have their own little differences to that, so take a look at that. But that is something else you want to budget. And I will tell you, depending on the cruise line, just like it seems like a theme here, the price is going to vary. So take a look at that. Another one that's become very, very prevalent in the last few years or so in cruising is specialty dining. If you don't want to just do the buffet or the main dining room or the pool, bar and grill, you may want to do specialty dining. There's all kinds of different types of specialty dining that you can do, depending on the different cruise line. I personally like to do at least 1 or 2 specialty dinings when I cruise, but that's another thing you're going to have to consider when you're doing an overall budget. So if you know a particular cruise line you want, take a look at that and figure out, you know, the various dining options they have to consider what your budget should be. And that's really all the things that's going to probably be in your booking price breakdown or your invoice. Some other things to consider when you're trying to budget for a cruise. You can book a cruise 1 or 2 years out. So if you know what, I'm not really sure if I can do it right now, but I definitely want to go on a cruise next year. Don't wait till next year. You can go ahead and start planning that stuff right now. You can use a travel advisor, something like me or whatever, and you can start looking at that and get it booked. Most of them will have a small deposit that you'll have to pay. And the second piece is most cruise that you select, you have to make sure that the balance is paid about 90 days before you go on your cruise. But it may vary a little bit depending on the cruise, so take a look at that. So I hope I was able to give you a little information to kind of understand a little bit better of what is really included in a price for a cruise, and how can you budget for it, and what are the things you should consider when budgeting. If I left something out, or if you have any questions or feedback, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you. Like always, please like and subscribe. And thanks for tuning in with us.